Okay, so the 10 virtues. We are now talking about, we finished the ones of speech, speaking truthfully, using our speech to create harmony, speaking with kindness, and then the opposite of idle talk is speaking at appropriate times. Okay, so this really requires some finesse and quite a bit of mindfulness, because we tend to get a thought in our mind and it comes out the mouth immediately without assessing the situation, whether it's a convenient time for the other person, whether it's an appropriate place, whether we have thought about what we want to say and are speaking meaningfully. You know, so often we're just impulsive and the thought comes and boop, there it goes. And so a lot of the time that becomes idle talk, and in bad situations it becomes harsh speech and lying and creating disharmony. Okay, but really learning when to speak and at appropriate times and how much to speak and how loudly or softly to speak, in what tone of voice to speak, okay? All these things are very important. And that's the difference between idle talk and, you know, speaking at appropriate times, okay? So the content, the timing, the tone, the motivation, so many things are there. So really, you know, speaking at appropriate times and places and so on, all these things of speech require that we really slow down and think a bit. Yeah? Do you agree? Yeah? Oh, some of you are nodding your heads quite vigorously. Something must have happened just this morning. Yeah? But it's really a big practice for all of us. So let's kind of put that maybe at the top of our list and think about, you know, as we're walking around through the day, you know, what is appropriate to say? When is it appropriate to say it? How is it appropriate to say it? Okay. And then this also includes, you know, not making assumptions and really explaining things well enough to somebody. Because sometimes we get the idea, oh, well, to avoid idle speech, I just won't talk much at all. But then we don't communicate well, because sometimes we're working on a project with somebody, we have to communicate about it, or we're giving instructions, we have to give the complete instructions and not just make assumptions that other people know what we talk about. So avoiding idle talk, in an effort to do that, we shouldn't under-communicate either, because that creates a lot of misunderstandings. So we need to know how to communicate and sometimes repeat things. I've really learned, you know, that people very often don't hear it the first time. Yeah, forget the Dharma, just even simple things. Yeah, we don't hear it the first time. So sometimes it's better to repeat it. Of course, some people then may get mad at you because you repeat it, but you know what to do. And it's also good to check with people and make sure that they understand what they're supposed to be doing or what you actually mean when you say something, instead of saying one sentence and then making assumptions. You had a question?
Just a comment is that it seems like it's when you have something to say but it's not an appropriate time, it's very, very difficult, because I know my mind is kind of like, I have something to say and it's actually maybe important to say or needs to be said, but this isn't a good time. It's very hard to restrain.
Yeah, so it's very hard to restrain when we have something to say, but it's not the appropriate time. And that it's hard to restrain because we're very focused on our need to say it. We're not focused on communicating with the other person. Yeah, we just want to relieve the stress of having this inside. So we say it, And then we don't care whether they heard it or not, because we were just wanted to say it. But then, of course, they don't often hear it. Or they hear it, but they misunderstand it because it wasn't the right time to say it, and they're busy doing something else, or they're preoccupied with something else. And so then, instead of our saying it, producing the result we want, we get the result we don't want. But you're right, it's very hard, because we can feel that energy inside of us sometimes, can't we? Yeah? I mean, I know, like in a discussion, if somebody says an opinion that I think is really bad, it's like I feel I have to immediately say something, otherwise the whole world's going to get destroyed, you know. And it's like, that's a little bit unrealistic. Yeah. So lots of times it's possible people can say all sorts of things in a meeting, but it doesn't mean other people are going to pick it up and run with it. Yeah. So sometimes let them say it. I don't need to say anything. Other people don't react to it, then it's gone. Yeah. Whereas often, if I jump in immediately, then it starts a conflict with the other person because they don't feel like their opinion was respected. Yeah. Of course, if other people take it up and run with it and the world really is going to get destroyed, then maybe I should say something. But, you know, I can wait a few minutes. Yeah. But it's very interesting when that happens, you know, when you feel that strong impulse to speak, to just sit and watch that impulse. And what does this impulse feel like in my body? Yeah, it's quite uncomfortable, isn't it? Yeah. And so just watch, what does that feel like in my body? And what is the motivation in my mind? Am I actually wanting to communicate?